Right, okay, welcome to the video. This video is going to show you an upgrade that I'm attempting on my 1999 or year 2000 Haas VF0E. The upgrade I'm attempting is to change the 1 meg memory up to 8 meg. Some people have said they have upgraded the older memories in the past, other people say it's not possible, so I thought, sod it, let's give it a go. So this is my disclaimer. This video is not instructional for how to do your machine. Anything you do to your own machine is done at your own risk. So I accept no liability or responsibility if you attempt the same thing as me. I'm willing to risk if this doesn't work and if it damages the board. So if you do the same upgrade and it damages anything on your machine or your board, that is solely down to yourself and your choice to do it. So anyway, enough of that, let's get on with the video. Right, so I'm back here at the Haas machine. I'm going to try something with the machine to upgrade the memory. Now, anyone who's got one of these older Haas machines know that the memory on them was appalling. This one is mediocre. It comes with 1 megabyte of memory. Now, considering my mobile phone now is 256 gig, that shows you how bad memory on these machines was back in the day. So this machine has actually got 2 memory chips fitted to the board that are 512 kilobyte each, making up the 1 mega memory. Now, when I sorted out the blown vector drive, I took it out and also took the boards out to look at the battery on the board. I've got new batteries to replace it, but I haven't done that yet. But I noticed where the memory goes on the main board, on the main PCB, there's actually 16 slots for the memory, or 16 spaces on the board for the memory, and mine's got 2 chips in it, each 512 kilobytes each. These are the little chips. I've got the part number off the board, and I've managed to buy, if I just show you there, some genuine Samsung chips, and I bought another 14. Not sure if it'll focus on that number. I'll just drop it on the floor instead, because that'll probably help. So yeah, there's the chips. Now, from what I've researched, there's quite a few different variants and different boards that come about from different years. This machine's 99/2000, and what I want to do is try and do a bit of research, which I've done mainly using the Practical Machinist forum, speaking to a few people on there that have been really helpful, going over the fact of whether you just need to have these professionally, or if you're capable yourself, DIY soldered onto the free space on the machine, line them up, fill all 16 places, and as these are basically half meg chips, if it will give me 8 meg, because these machines had an option of a 1 meg upgrade, a 4, an 8 and a 16. So as far as I can tell, the only difference is all the boards are the same, give or take the odd revision. There was no firmware updates or changes. There is various software versions, but that's not to do with memory. So it seems like all that happened if you paid for the 1 meg, the 4 meg, the 8 meg and the 16 meg is they soldered more chips to the board, or different chips. So on my one, I can fit 16.5 meg chips and get 8 meg. The only reason I'm not going to go with the next size up is because that's the exact chip that's already fitted. So I'm thinking that it may solve or may avoid any compatibility issues if I just put more of the same in. I'm hoping if there's any gubbins going on with chips looking for memory spots, that if it's all the same, it will just extend the memory. Whereas if I was to solder in 2 512 kilobyte chips and then start doing 1 meg chips to try and get nearer to the 16 meg, is it going to cause issues with there being a difference? So let's play it safe and just go for more. You don't need the memory, you can take programs out and you can put programs in. If you're going to use the floppy, this machine's got a floppy USB emulator on there. If you're still going to use that to upload your programs, you're still going to be limited to the 1.4 1.44 meg that the floppy disk limits you to. Even when you're using a USB, you have to format the USB to the 1.44 floppy file size. So the downside is you're still limited, but you can upload larger programs, I've been told, and I've not tried it yet, via the RS232 cable. So not drip feeding the program, but just uploading it to the machine if it's, say, 1 meg, 2 meg, 3 meg, something like that. So I've only used one program which is bigger than 1.4 meg, so it's not a necessity. I could break that program up into 2 parts and load them individually, but if there's more memory on the machine, there's loads of little jobs that I do, not very often, but I'd like to just leave them in the machine. And then all I've got to do is look at the sheet, check my tools, load my tools, and then I know the program's good to go because it's the same program I used last time. So we've got the chips. Just go around the back to where the board is. I'm going to take this board out later today because the annoying thing is you've got to take this cover off, and my one, different versions, probably different, but mine's got 3 boards all layered, and typically it is the backboard underneath everything that is the one you need to get to, which has your memory chips on, and it also has your battery on it. So what I'll probably do is, because it's got the battery on it from Haas, I'll buy the dual battery board, and it just plugs into a connector, so you can put 2 batteries in and remote mount them on the panel so they're easier to get to. So if you want to check the memory on your machine, another way to just check what you've got, let's just shut this door. When you turn on the power, you hit the power button and hold the program conversation. So let me just do that. And then it comes up here. So serial rate, there you go, flash memory found, 156K, BBU RAM, 1024K. So that is basically the 1024 is 2 of these 512 by 8-bit chips. So I'm hoping that when we got this soldered in and the rest of the board is filled, the first thing when I turn it on, I may or may not have to reinitialize the control, so I might not even get this first. We'll have to see. I'm not sure what the core processor not found means, but that's exactly as it is normally from standard. So if we have to reinitialize, through the help of people off of the Practical Machinist forum, I've got the procedure to clear the battery backup memory, I've got the procedure to reinitialize the control, and I've got the procedure to clear and reset the machine serial number if required. So if I need to do that, then that's what I will do. But I'm not 100% sure. Some people have said they've soldered in new chips and it's worked. Different style boards. Someone said they left the battery in and done it, and they didn't have to reinitialize the control at all. They just was carefully put the chips in first, made sure that they didn't short anything out, and it worked fine. But it's probably not the best idea. So what I've done, backed up my parameters, backed up my settings, backed up my programs, got it all on a USB. I've done that last week, but I'm going to back it up again today because I've redone something on the probe macros. So I just want the latest I can. The board's going to come out tonight, so I'll do another update, or shall I say download, of settings, programs, parameters, all that sort of stuff. So I've got it if I need to load it back in the machine, get the chip soldered on in the morning, and then we'll start putting the board back in, and fingers crossed I'll come back and show you the new memory. Okay, so the board is back from having the new chips soldered in. So originally we had these 2 on the left here, and now we've added in 14 more. So I thought if 1 or 2 is going to work extra, 14 should work extra, or none of them are going to work at all. So let's go for it, because we're going to pay for them to be put in once and pay for them to be taken out once. So there it is. There's the other boards I took out of the machine all wrapped up. There's the space in the machine. Now they did disconnect the battery. You can see the battery's still in the holder, but he's obviously put this little tab in there just to make sure it's not making contact. Now what I do have, excuse the noise, that's a lathe running a load of parts on the bar puller. While all the machine was out, we've got new batteries. Everyone says the holder doesn't come with the batteries. It did, so I bought 2 elsewhere and it came with 2. I've got the double battery board from Haas that I can now just plug in before I reinstall everything. Put 2 batteries in, mount it somewhere that it's actually easy to get to, and then the connector goes to the connector that is on the board. Because the downside of where the battery is, it's on the actual board nearest to the inside of the cabinet, so you have to remove 2 others to get to it. So this connector will go on there, and then when you replace these batteries, the reason there's 2 is so that you can take one out, one's still connected, put a new one in, take an old one out, put a new one in, so it should never lose its memory again. So I'm going to get this reinstalled, get it all mounted, find somewhere suitable to put this, so a nice bit of Velcro that's stuck to it, and then we'll power it up and look at loading all our parameters and settings again, and we'll see if this actually works. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we fitted the board back in with the new memory soldered on, and we've upgraded, a bit dark in there, apologies, to the Haas dual battery, because as the batteries had to be removed, or the single battery had to be removed anyway, we thought, why not upgrade? So that's done, the batteries are in. We haven't powered it on yet, so this first example or test or potential 50-50 failure is going to be seen by all of us at the same time. Now before I took this apart, I done parameter backup, so I actually made 3 copies in there. All the parameters for the machine, the parameters, the settings, the macro variables, the programs, and I think there's something else. There's the original hard disk copies. That's to do with testing the motor when I've done the resistance. This is what I printed off the internet about loading programs. This is something that one of the users on the forum jotted down for me on the conversation about upgrading the Haas memory, so I've got some info there. And then that was what I wrote down. These are the ones that we've got: offsets, parameters, programs, settings and macro variables. They're my codes. So we've got to look at how we restart the machine. Now, because this is as new to me as it is to you, let's turn it on, and it either will not work at all, or we will be playing around to try and get the machine reset, because in theory the battery has been out. Well, not in theory, in actual real terms, the battery's been out, and we have lost anything that we had stored. So right, we just got a flashing cursor up the top. Right, we've still got some of this stuff in there, which that's a good sign. Setting CRC error, system error, pocket tool tab. Right, so we're on there. What have we got? Right, so we're getting a countdown, so we're going to have to go through this and start again. So I've got off in 10 seconds, XYZ AB, alarm, pocket tool table, spindle drive fault and servos off, and we are shut down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick read, see what I've got to do to start with, just to get the machine to stay on, so I can go into some settings and try and change what I can. Then I'll come back and I'll try and do a step-by-step with the camera. Fingers crossed. Right, let's balance you on the toolbox. Right, it's 5 minutes later on. 5 minutes later on, geez, 5 minutes later. Anyway, we had the alarm giving me 15 seconds to shut down. What I noticed, that when it comes up with the Mocon version, software version, next to model, it was blank. So from what I've read on the forums and other people have said, the machine doesn't know what it is. Say a VF2, a VF6, as this one is a VF0E. So got to the 15 seconds, it shut down. From what I'd researched before I tried to do this upgrade, to try and have everything I need rather than have the machine offline while I then searched the internet for information, I'd found that someone said turn the machine on whilst it's still alarming out and starts to count down for 15 seconds, hit settings, go through to setting 7, which is your parameters lock, turn it off, and then go back, quickly type debug, and then press enter, and then you'll have a little cursor flashes here. It doesn't tell you what to do, but when it's flashing, there's 4 or 5 N's, I think it is. Then I typed, where are we at? VF0E for this machine. Your machine may be different. Whatever model it is, you've got to put it in exact. Press enter. Now that cleared the alarms that were on the page. It turned off on its own, and then it turned back on, went through the stage, and this time it showed Mocon number 11, software version 10.35, and next to model it now says VF0E. So it knows a little bit more than it did the first time round. Then the page come up and we've got another load of alarms. What I wasn't expecting is that there's another shutdown alarm saying regen overheat. And then underneath it, it says regen overheat time shorter than parameter set in parameter 239 or something like that. I didn't quite catch a glimpse of it and it's turned off. So we're going to go back in now and then potentially type debug, I think. I'm just going to have a quick read of what he said. Where's my phone? Bear with me, this is going to be a boring video for a lot of you, but for anyone who's in the same situation as me, this video is going to be a godsend if it works. And if the memory side of it doesn't work, it will be a godsend video for if your batteries fail or they go flat or you take them out accidentally, knock them out, something like that, and you need to reboot from scratch. So just looking through some of the information that I found on the interweb. Right, what I'll do is I'll have a read through and then I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'm turning on again and I'm going to try and get rid of one alarm at a time. So the first alarm that I've seen, which is shutting me down 15 seconds, it says regen overheat alarm. So I've got my model number now, software versions, regen overheat. Now it's going to start counting down. I can keep pressing reset to buy more time. So we've got the regenerative load temperature is above a safe limit. This alarm will turn off the servos, spindle drive, coolant pump and the tool changer. One common cause is the input voltage too high. If this persists, automatic shutdown will begin. Specified by 297. So I'm going to go into parameter 297. I've got that in my book. I'll just show you before that shuts down. I've got parameter 297, max overheat 250. Let's go back here. Keep pressing reset. Resets me to 15 seconds. So I've got to, in the 15 seconds, get into parameters and find parameter 297. All the way down. Right, we are on 297 and we're already on 250. What I might have to do So we've got a 176 and an emergency stop. So we've got an overheat shutdown and a 122, but they're both done by parameter 297. Right, so that's already there. So I wonder if I can put in the USB. Keep resetting. I'm going to put by parameters USB in. Right, that's in. Now while we're still alarming out, try and get into floppy directory. I'm still there. And now I need to go to parameter 22810 par. 22810.par. Enter. Right, we're still counting down. So that didn't work. Right, let me look at more alarms and we'll be back again. Okay, we are getting somewhere slowly, little bit at a time. So what we had the overheat shutdown. This 297 was still there and I had a continuous countdown, 15 seconds. I looked through a lot of parameters. Some of them are factory set, I'm guessing, as the VF0 comes as standard. It's going to be input from the factory. Some of them are machine specific. So I just flick through the pages, checking various ones in the book. Some are correct, some are blank or completely wrong. But I couldn't get rid of the 15-second shutdown. Now, looking at what I copied from on Practical Machinist forums, there's a user called Roma. Now, he gave me a load of information about how to reset machine serial numbers. Now, when I looked in here, my machine serial number is 1624199. It's completely wrong because my serial number is not that at all. It's only 5 digits. So he's got reset serial number, press the emergency stop in, which is what I did. And even though I turned off parameter lock before, I didn't realise that once it rebooted, the lock is back on. So I went, as it says here, sorry about this, it's probably not going to focus very well on here. Go to setting 7 and turn the lock off. Now, once I went to setting 7 and turned that off, the 15-second alarm has stopped. So now I've got to type the word debug, which I've done there, and it says push enter, right or enter, which is your button down here in the corner. And then, again, it may not focus on this, I do apologise. At this point, you should see several N numbers in the lower left corner of the screen. You're now in debug. Go to position display, right? So let's press enter. Auto off alarm. Right, so we've got sounds there, auto off alarm, and we've got the ends at the bottom. So we are, like he says, at this point you should see several NNN and a number at the lower left corner of the screen. That's what we've got, several N's and a number 0. You are now in debug mode. Go to your position display, which is your position. Page up until you say raw data in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. Position, raw data, edit. Let's just go through. Just going to check. Right, so that's the only page. There you go. Position, raw data, edit. The following code contains numbers, zeros, and they are not the letter O. Type the following. C, L, and you can see it there. I might just put this camera down again for a second while I type this. Apologies. So you've got CL 13000 708 0. So remember that they are zeros, not the letter O. So we've got CL130007080, then push enter. Okay, still alarming. So let's go to settings and we'll go back to 26. See if the serial number has cleared. See, we're up there. That is not my serial number, so that has not worked. So let me go back to the position, raw data. We've still got the emergency stop alarm. I wonder if... Right, so I'm going to try again. We're still in debug mode. Position. Raw data. CL130007080. Zero. But that's not doing anything. So if we go into settings, the serial number is still there. Let's just see. Right. He must have pressed this by accident. So it's CL130007080. Then there's another 0, and I think he's put that accidentally because I've left it off and my serial number has now reset to 0. So just for anyone who finds this info on the internet, that's the number you've got to put in. There is no 0 after the number 8, and then that has reset my serial number to 0. Right, so we're getting somewhere. After all this, I still don't know if this bloody memory update is going to work. So if anything, it's a learning curve. Go to your alarms display, type the word debug, so alarms display, type the word debug, which, sorry about that, I'm gonna put you down there again because it's difficult to read this. You're not going to see close up, but I'll talk you through it. So we've reset the serial number. By this point, the serial number should have cleared. Go to your alarms display. Which is what I'm on. Type debug. Push enter. Change to any other mode. Let's just go positions. The N and such in the lower left hand corner should all be gone. So that is now gone. So apologies for the compressor. The N's that were in the bottom corner to say you're in debug mode have gone. Enter your correct serial number into setting 26. So let's go down, we're in there. My serial number, it sounds stupid, but let me just check. Right, 22810 is my serial number. Right, it says, before I press enter, it says this will give you a code that you give to your Haas factory outlet. There's some in the UK, but I can speak to Haas, that they use to create your 200-hour unlock code. Now, I'm not sure if this machine has a 200-hour unlock code, but I'm gonna get a pen and paper ready just in case. So I've typed in the serial number, I'm on there, now I'm gonna push enter. Right, now the serial number is in the machine. Then enter the code given to you to clear the 144 alarm. Now I'm going to go back. See, there is no code given, so I'm guessing this machine might be too old for a 200-hour unlock code. Because all I've done, I've entered my serial number in there, and that is now in there. That is it. Okay, serial number is restored. Check and enter all your option codes for purchase options with the e-stop pushed in. So I can skip the bit about the 144 alarm because I don't think that's going to happen to me. So I'm going to push the emergency off. Now I'm going to go back. Just going to go to settings. Oh. Right, now I've got to try and find. Right, what I'm going to do, I've got to find where my options are, and then I've got my options codes written down like you'd have for your machine. I'll put the option codes in, and then I'll see if they store, and I'll bring you back. Okay, so a little bit of messing around. I've never entered my serial number option codes before. You just have to go onto where it says 1 or 0 and put in your code and press enter, and it will change from a 0 to a 1 and allow you to have that. So we have managed to now get rid of all the alarms. So what I did was, everything's on my USB. Now I've got no alarms now. We're looking all good currently anyway. We've not even looked at memory and what's worked and what hasn't, so I still don't know if the machine's good or if we're in with some problems with that side of it. But if I go into my floppy directory, let me pick this up. That'll be the phone. We'll turn that off. We go back to floppy directory. Let me show you how mine are stored. So the first lot of digits, the 22810 is my serial number. So the variables is macros, settings, programs, parameters, and offsets. Now I can't enter the offsets. I'm not sure why, but if I go to the offset page, type in 22810.OFS, and then you'd normally press F3 for disk read. All it does is keeps adding a 0 dot at the end. So I wonder if that's, I wonder if I have to do 0FS just in case that's a 0, and then press F1 read. No, that doesn't work either. What about if I go to the offsets page? 0FS, we're on there, disk read. No, so the offsets don't read in. Doesn't really matter because obviously that's not a problem. If you go into current commands, I reloaded my macros, they're all there. If I now go into my programs, everything I created with my programs is there, which is, didn't have any actual machining programs stored in there, just macro programs for the Renishaw. So we're good in that sense. If I go to my parameters, everything's looking good. I've re-enabled my rigid tapping. Repeat rigid tap was on there. Safety circuit. What else did I have? I had rotation and scaling is now turned on. And then I had enable macros. They're the only options this machine had. Everything else is looking pretty good. I haven't gone through every parameter or every setting. I can now actually turn the parameters lock back to on because I don't need that now. All this sort of stuff looks good. It's hard to tell because there's loads of pages. Dimensioning. Inch. Not too sure. I'm guessing that would have been metric. Let me move that and have a quick look at my settings, my parameters list, parameters. Can't remember if I'm in. No, I'm in settings. Right, let's go to dimensioning. Inch, well, it does look correct. I might check a few more of these just to see if it's all looking good. The only one I did notice, which I'm going to be very wary of, It was to do with spindle, tool change, offset position, something like that. Now the book, it was in parameters. Spindle orientation. Where have we gone? Spindle or sorry about that, but it's not very good at focusing this camera. Spindle orientation offset 1041. Now whether this has been changed, let me try and find it in here. So many pages now, but I can't even find it. I'm sure it was 900. It wasn't the same anyway. It was slightly different. Not a lot different, but I'm guessing it may have been tweaked. Right, I might not find it, and I don't want to have you just looking at me scour through pages for ages. Let's go a couple more. Come on. I tell you what, wasting my time, let's actually see what number it is. 257, and they're saying it's 1041. Oh, there we go, look, I'm already on the page. 257, and I'm at 930. Everything else along here is the same as the book, so that may have been adjusted or tweaked at some point, so I'm going to see what happens. But anyway, that is it. If I go to the alarms page, I've got no alarms. Now if I press power up restart, I'm going to put 5% rapids on because I want to see. This is obviously not orientated, and I need to know if that's going to orientate and smash into the tool changer or whether that's going to work. So it's power up restart. Because my selection is tool 1, and I always turn it off at tool 20 because that's an open tool. Now that is locked in position. Now there you go, I'm looking there. Now that looks good, to be fair. It looks good. We're going to go with it. Going to bring it down really slowly. Really slowly. And now we're almost there. And you guys can see, that looks bang on. So I'm happy to let that go. We'll start it again. Right, so that was 930. It did have ever such a slight twist as it went on. Now that may be the difference, that someone else has tweaked that themselves. And you may find, or I may find, that 1014 or 1041 might actually be better, but I'm not even going to get into messing that around now. So we are done. We are tool changed. We've got no alarms. We've got setting 26. We've got our serial number. We've got our programs. We've got everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go back. Current command, spindle warm up. I'm now going to 0 all axis. Actually, I'm going to treat it like I normally do. T20 is where I keep it. Then I'd 0 all axis. This is as if I'd had it turned off, and I want to see if it starts from scratch with no alarms. And then, people, then we are going to test and have a look to see what memory we've got. If you remember, I mentioned about on the initial, if you hold program conversation as you press power on, it shows you some info here. So we're going to turn it off now. It's what I do at the end of the day. I'd emergency stop it, and that's how I leave my machine personally. So I come back to machine, leave the e-stop in, power it on. I also want to check it hasn't forgotten any parameters or serial number or anything like that. Flashing cursor, top left corner, VF0E, English, Dutch, French, Italian, Spanish found. Emergency off, which is correct. Servos off, emergency off. That is exactly as it should be. Now what I'd normally do, e-stop out, door key out, and then we should be reset, reset. We are done. Power up, restart. We're going to cycle through the tools. We'll have another watch of this figure. Lines up lovely. Everything is in there. As far as I'm concerned, we are good. Now, let's do the next one. Let's have a look and see what our memory says and see if we wasted. We paid £150 roughly for 14 512 K chips, and I paid £70 to have somebody professional solder all 14 chips into my board. So it's going to owe me £220 if this works. So let's turn her off again. We'll emergency stop it anyway. And now to find out about your memory and your RAM, I read on the forum that if you press program conversation and power on, now what we've got, we are looking good, people. We are looking very good. There's our serial rate, which is the same as before. Our flash memory, 156K, and our BBU RAM, which was 1024, is now 8192. Core processor not found. That's exactly what it said before. And then that is 00080000, which I think that means they're 8-bit flash memory. I'm not 100% sure on that. But as far as I can tell, we need to run some big programs. But that is a thumbs up and we are good. So I appreciate everyone's help who gave me the information, loading parameters, going through tests, clearing the RAM if you need to, but I didn't need to. But to be fair, that was pretty straightforward. And now I've gone from 1 meg memory in the old 1999/year 2000 Haas VF0E, and we now have an 8 meg memory. If you do any of this to your own machine, it is at your own risk. I done this on my machine. This is not an instructional video for you to do yours. I'm just showing you how I did mine, and I accept no liability whatsoever if you ruin your machine or your board. So that is your choice whether you do this same upgrade, whether you can do this same upgrade. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Woohoo!